Can't Teach Size, a hockey podcast. This is strange. How do you introduce the very first episode of the very first show you've ever created? I have no idea, but I am joined by Brady today. My name's Liz, and we are the Can't Teach Size team. We thought it'd be a fun idea to throw together a little podcast here. We love chatting hockey. We love connecting with other people about hockey, and this we thought was a good way to kind of keep going with that. So, Brady, how are you doing today?
Living the dream. We've chatted about doing this for a while now, and here we are. We're finally doing it. Hopefully, it all goes well. There's no hiccups. Hopefully, no tech issues. But yeah, it's I'm excited. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Brady and I have, known each other for quite some time. We've been talking about this for a while as well. We met through I guess we met through Twitter, theoretically, probably,
Yeah,
but we've also both been part of the same podcast, Cringe, right?
yeah.
We've been
Unfortunately,
part of the same podcast for quite some time. Jet Centric is kind of where we both got our quote unquote start, where we would chat with that team frequently about different things going on with the Winnipeg Jets. It's been a lot of fun for both of us, and we're just kind of looking at some different directions and things like that. So we're giving this a shot. We are both huge Winnipeg Jets fans, begrudgingly, I guess, if that's what you want to call it.
begrudgingly, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, unfortunately, or whatnot. But so we thought we would start a show to sort of talk a little bit more about that, what we know about the Jets, how we analyze the Jets, things like that, but also go a little bit more into just, us as individuals, as people, and kind of have some fun with it.
Yeah, and this podcast is supposed to be a little less informal, a little more just kind of like sitting down with friends and having a chat about hockey. Again, we will obviously naturally talk about the Jets because we are Jets fans, but this is not going to be a Jet-centric podcast. I didn't mean to say that, but you know what I mean. Yeah, we'll kind of talk about a bit of everything, so it should be a lot of fun. Um,
Yeah, so we've been sitting on this one for a while, trying to come up with some stuff, and we decided to really kind of get the gears going, leading up to the season, just because we thought it'd be a good time to actually get it off the ground and get started. And I gotta say, we're both motivated people. We have a lot of ideas, a lot of thoughts, but easily the most difficult part of this whole process has been
the finding a name for this stupid podcast. Yeah, no, we literally bandied about for like I don't know how many days, like a week now, where we were actually like seriously like we need to figure out a name. Prior to
it was
that,
like end of day today. We're gonna figure it out.
yeah, we had a name for a while that we were considering something along the lines of like the eye test podcast. We kind of wanted to find a name that kind of fit both of us and how we kind of view hockey. Is a little bit ironic and kind of pokes fun at the people who like to give us a lot of shit for our takes. But at the same time, we also wanted to be a little less serious. Yeah, I swear every single podcast name that we tried to find has had is already taken by someone who did like 4 podcasts in 2017, or like maybe did one in like 2021 and they're like, oh, we'll be back soon, and just hasn't done anything since. But obviously, we don't want to step on anyone's toes.
If they do come back.
Who knows? And that's the thing too. Like, and you want to be respectful in this space. You don't want to be, biting off someone else's kind of thing. I don't know. We had a lot of stupid names in. Do we want? I guess we can go through them.
Well, every time you would bring one up, Brady, I was like, brilliant, and then you're like, taken. Like,
Taken.
then check, do your work first because you got me so excited about so yeah, we were both super into this eye test thing, and then we realized we couldn't. We were going, and we had some ideas. We weren't in love with anything, and then they're the odd one here and there. I know Brady has some of them written down, but
I
specifically, like he's like Healthy Scratch podcast, and I was like, oh my god, yes, where's the merch? I love this.
Bench
And
Miner
then,
was one you really liked. I think
good.
Press Box was a good one too. Press Box podcast, Fake Fans podcast, but that's also we found out also one that one. I think is still recently been going. I don't know. Either way,
Mhm.
we settled on You Can't Teach Size. You basically Can't Teach Size, a hockey podcast. So welcome. Thank you so much for listening if you are here. But yeah. Usually structure wise of the show, Liz is a bit more of a planner than I am. One of the things we want to try and incorporate is like a little bit of a game, maybe try and get a little bit of the audience involved too. So usually Liz will probably, every other show, most shows come up with, a game if we decide to throw that in there. But today, to start off the season, I have come up with my own game. And we'll do that first, just as a little icebreaker. It is called "Where Are They Now?" And Liz is gonna have to tell me where they are now. Um,
You've come up with this game, and I'm literally gonna get canceled by our own listeners before we even start because I'm not gonna know where anyone actually ended up. And that's one thing that people will learn about me is I'm very secure in my hockey knowledge. Brady's gonna say a name of a player. I'm gonna look at him. I'm gonna be like, no idea,
no,
absolutely zero clue where this person ended up.
okay,
No shame in that.
so just to give you a bit of context, I wanted to make it so this off season's been absolutely crazy. I feel like this offseason has had, every offseason players move around, but I feel like this offseason there was a lot of movement, and I don't know, maybe it was just a hectic offseason in, just summer and everything like that. But I feel like there were massive changes, so many players moving around. So yeah, I'll just let you know the basis of these players. I didn't want them to be super obvious, because if I asked you where Johnny Gaudreau is playing next year, I would hope you'd be able to answer that. But I also didn't want to be like, where is Austin Pagansky playing next year? Which I'll give you a bonus point if you can tell me where he signed.
No idea.
He signed.
Did he actually get signed?
He got signed with Seattle. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, actually, no. I think I might have known that. I think I remember that because we had a bit of a Twitter funeral when that happened. We're like, God, what could have been?
Man, rest in peace, the Poggers, man. Austin
The
Pagansky.
Poggers, man.
Hell yeah. Okay, so I have 11 names written down here in front of me. So you need to get 6 of them correct if I did my math right. In order to pass officially and win. I don't have any prize for you, unfortunately, but yeah. Do you have any questions before we go?
I don't, but
okay, we're gonna. I'll just be honest. This first one, hopefully, I hope you'll be able to get it. He's close to home. As Jets fans, we know and love him. Ben Sherratt, where is he now? Where will he be playing next season?
He signed in Detroit, right?
He did sign in Detroit. He will be
Yes.
Detroit's top line left wing, or not left wing, left D. Jeez. Oh, there's a good one.
Now that I'd like to see.
There we go. Okay, going on to one that's a little tougher. Max Domi, where is he now?
Oh boy. Okay, so
Where was he? If you to
he
start off with?
was in Carolina.
That's correct.
That was the last team he was with.
That's the last team he was playing for. Yes.
My gut is telling me Florida. Is that correct? No.
Is that your final answer?
I don't. I want to say he's on a coast. That or he's somewhere in California, but I'm gonna go with Florida.
Florida is incorrect.
Ooh.
Max Domi is currently listed as the top line center for the Chicago Blackhawks.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I did not think
that 'cause I was like, oh, you didn't think they could get more unlikable, and yet here they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa.
Okay. A player that us as Jets fans were hoping would sign with the Jets. Dylan Strome. Where is he now?
Oh, I should know this one too. Okay. Oh no. Okay, he was one of the earlier signings, right?
He wasn't like a day one signing, but he was definitely within the first week or like. It's not like he was throughout the summer.
Right, because there are like the Sonny Milanos that we were like, maybe he'll sign a PTO, maybe he'll sign a PTO, like continuing, whatever. But like I feel like Dylan Strome was like one of those for the Jets at least. It was like an immediate, oh, what could have been, or what if sort of thing. But then it died pretty quick because I think he got signed. I don't remember where.
Just take a guess.
Oh boy.
Think of a team who needs a centerman. Maybe.
All of them?
Every team needs a centerman.
Oh geez, and see, I don't even want to try and make an educated guess. This is gonna be really embarrassing, so I don't know. I want to say New York. Reunite the brothers. Who knows? I'll go with New York as my final answer.
It is not New York. He is playing for the Washington Capitals, and also I didn't put Ryan Strome on this list.
He also left.
He also left the Rangers. He's playing for the Ducks next year.
Ducks. I was gonna say yeah. Okay. Yeah. No.
Good. Okay, so
It was humiliating.
1-2. So, all right. Now we move on to a Stanley Cup, at least 2 times Stanley Cup winner, Andre Palat. Where is Andre Palat playing this year? She's
Ottawa?
frozen. Ottawa?
Like Ottawa? I'll go with Ottawa.
You're gonna go with Ottawa?
It's wrong.
It is incorrect. Andre Palat signed with the New Jersey Devils.
I did not know that.
I
did not know that.
I don't know if that was. I can't remember if it was pre or post Goudreau signing. I want to say it was post because I feel like they obviously had hoped to get Goudreau, but
Hmm.
but yeah, excuse me. All right, you've got one for 4 so far. Alrighty, let me look down my list, see if I can get one that's a little easier for you. Okay, here we go.
Not the pity question.
No, it's not the pity questions, but some are obviously going to be harder than others.
No, for sure.
Okay, how about this? Kevin Fiala, where is he playing now? Where is he now?
LA.
LA?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good, cool. Just want to make sure. Just want to make sure I heard you correctly. Okay,
I'm following some league-wide stuff, I promise.
And most of these guys aren't like, the big shot guys. So
where is Jonathan Huberdeau now?
Oh yeah, I wonder. So don't get me wrong. Like I had to kind of remind myself for a lot of these. So don't worry. This isn't just you're doing just fine. Okay. Next question. Who do I want to do next here? Ilya Mikheyev. Where is he now? Former Toronto Maple Leaf.
I remember this because anytime anything happens to the Leafs, right, it's like people freak out, and it's
actually he just got injured in a preseason game today. I got
Vancouver.
that. He's with Vancouver. Wow. Did that actually help you?
It kind of did. I feel like, again, it's a Leafs guy, right? People talk about him so much, and I feel like I remember when he got hurt. I remember seeing some stuff about that. But yeah, Vancouver. That one was also pretty early on, right?
I think so. I believe so. Yeah, because he was a day. I think he was a day one signing. He signed for like 4.5 or something like that. I can't exactly remember.
Good for him. Good for him. He's not worth that much, but
he's he's a solid middle guy. Can play PK. Good for him. Okay. Let's see. Ricard Raquel. Where is he now?
Don't even ask me where he was before, because I don't know. Because he got traded.
He did get traded. You are correct. Who was he on before that? Do you remember who?
I want to say that there's some. I'm gonna list like 3 teams, and I feel like 2. I want to go Anaheim, Washington, Philly. Are any of those correct?
For which part?
Not the answer you're looking for right now. None of those.
Previously?
Yes.
Yeah, previously he was on the Ducks before he got traded.
And where did he get traded to?
I cannot answer that question.
Did he re-sign there?
I cannot answer that question.
That is so fake. I don't like it. Okay. I don't know where he is. Boston?
I don't know. He re-signed with his team, so you just need to dredge up where he got traded to. So think of a playoff team.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I definitely wouldn't have been Philly then. I'm mixing him up with Michael Raffle. That's why I was thinking of
not the same player.
Not the same guy.
No.
Just letters in the last name, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I feel like I want to say Boston. This is not correct.
Boston is incorrect, unfortunately. It was with the Penguins. He got traded to the Penguins and somehow re-signed there. That was a big part of
that's ringing a bell.
That was a big part of the can they re-sign Malkin and Letang and everyone kind of conversation.
That's right.
Ooh, yeah. All right. Where are we looking at here? You've got looks like 3 out of 7. 3 out of 7. So you're just below 50%. So a correct answer on this next one will bring you up to 50. David Perron, former Jet killer. Where is he now?
Oh, this one was also weird. Because people were thinking he was going to re-sign with St. Louis or something. Then he didn't. I want to say it's in the Pacific. But
he's played for St. Louis multiple times, so I think that's why, is people seem to think that he loves it there. Which St. Louis is a good place to play, but he is not with the Blues anymore. That is your
He's
hint.
not with the Blues. I really want to say I'm leaning Vegas, but I don't Vegas. I'll go Vegas.
Vegas is your final answer. That is
Yeah.
incorrect.
Fuck,
He is going
man.
to be
Can we
playing.
delete this episode?
Maybe we might have to, or at least the first half of it. He's playing with the. He's going to be playing with Detroit. Little tip: if you don't know, Detroit signed a lot of guys this year. I
Yes.
don't have
Yeah.
Andrew Kopp on here because I thought that you would get that instantly.
Yes, I would.
So,
Yeah.
so unfortunately, I will let you know that Andrew Kopp is not one of the questions coming up. Um, okay, let's take a look here. An interesting trade, a bit of a cap dump, but the team took him on. Where is Ryan McDonough playing this year?
Oh my God. See, again, this is humiliating. Oh,
Okay,
don't ask me
okay.
this.
To be fair, I completely forgot he got traded. For like as I was looking through our rosters here. Also, we're going to be doing a bit of a Western Conference preview shortly, so that this is kind of where some of this came from. I guess that's a bit of a hint. Um, yeah,
Okay.
he got moved.
I'm remembering this trade because I feel like I remember one of the boys that we all love simping over on Twitter going back to Tampa. Nashville. He went to
He
Nashville.
went to Nashville. Good
Yes.
job. Well done.
Was Phil Myers part of that trade? Do you remember?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, he
Okay,
was
that would do it.
you know what it was because Tampa could have bought him out and gotten like a cap credit or something stupid like that, and then they didn't because they were like, we plan on using him, and everyone was like, okay, but you guys have your cap is completely fucked, so I don't know what you guys are doing. Anyways, um, alrighty, so just a little score update. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4 out of 9. You're gonna have to get both of these next two right. Um,
Oh boy.
all right. This one may or may not be tough. We'll see. There's a reason that if you can remember it, might be able to get it. Where is Eric Goodbranson playing this next year?
Oh, oh, oh. Columbus.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
because everyone was
yeah.
making the jokes about how they needed to bring him in order to get Johnny Hockey, but yeah, okay, cool. All right, comes down to this.
Terrible. Yeah.
Comes down to this. OT for Liz. Alrighty.
Okay.
Okay. Cup winner with the Avalanche. Where is Andre Burakovsky playing this year?
Oh boy. Okay. I'm mixing him up with one of their guys who went to see. Yeah, mixing him up with someone else. Um,
Who went to
okay,
where?
he
Sorry,
was.
you cut out a little bit.
Oh, no, I said that I'm mixing him up with one of his teammates who went to Seattle. So it's not Seattle. I don't want to say who's the one. Nope, that guy still. Maybe it is Seattle. One of them went to Seattle. And I want to say it might be him. It's a lot of pressure. And see, the thing is, I feel more confident in this than I have in some of my previous guesses. That I was like, oh yeah, he went here, and you're like literally not even close. Wrong division. But it's the last one, so like I need to think about this a little bit more. But also, me thinking doesn't make for good episode content
It's
because
okay.
it's
It's okay. At some point, you just need to deliver a final answer to me, and you have to say it's your final answer.
I think we got to go Seattle because I can't think of anything else.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alyssa Houde. Well done. It was Seattle.
Oh, good
Congratulations.
for me.
Yeah,
Good for
you
me.
win. I don't know what you win, but you win. Congratulations. Wow.
I win
Incredible.
not knowing where Max Domi and Dylan Strome ended up, but that's okay.
Okay, Max Domi, I think is fair to not know where he ended up because
I
no one
don't care about him or the
or the
Blackhawks, so
Blackhawks, no one gives a shit.
no.
Incredible. Wow, that was great. I guess from here, we're gonna lead into a bit of Jets talk. I think we as Jets fans are gonna talk about them a little bit. Liz,
It's a good segue for me to validate myself in the sense that I think that when it comes to hockey discussion and media and conversation, I would not say that league wide is my area of perfect strength. I think that I'm good with like, individuals and like I could tell you quite a bit about like, Dylan Strome as a player. still, even though we just had this conversation, I don't remember where he is. Like, I don't. Washington,
It's yeah,
Washington.
it's
But
yes, yeah. There you go.
so I promise I have other abilities. We will uncover them as we go. But yeah, Jets. As we're recording this, we're sitting here on a Sunday. So Jets had a preseason game, first preseason game actually against Edmonton. Brady and I were both able to catch a little bit of camp on some different days this past week, just to kind of get back into the swing of things. And now, Brady, one thing that I noticed today specifically. So I went to Jets camp a lot last year, and it was like me, Murat, John Reynolds, Scott Billick, and like the Jets and Moose bus driver. Like it was so dead. It was
Hmm.
so empty. There was nothing going on. Like they didn't have stuff because of like COVID, right? And it was like,
Of
masks,
course.
vaccine cards, all these things. And it was just dead. And so maybe that's part of it too. But the energy from the players to me, completely different this week, what I've seen compared to what I saw last year. Like the guys are messing around on the ice and they're having fun, but they're still, playing hard in the drills and stuff like that. And they're coming through and in the guards they'll push aside people and they have
Yeah.
the area where they walk past in the middle and Shifley comes through and these little boys are dressed up in their suits. He's like, hey, looking sharp, fellas. Last year, never would have said that. Brendan Dillon, same thing. Evan Pillai, all this that kind of stuff. Like these guys just seem super fired up to be there. And last year the energy was just awful. Like it was
Hmm.
abysmal. I hated being there. I was like, this sucks. Like you guys are, you know, tearing me down, man. I'm like, this is so uncomfortable. And it just seemed like a ton of fun these last couple days.
Has Rick Bonus rescued the vibes? I think like I genuinely think he has. And even as like a Jets fan, like I I could not tell you the worst thing to feel as a fan is apathy. And throughout the entire offseason, I did not care. The Jets did fuck all, and it was really sad. And the entire time I'm sitting here going, Jets are going to finish 5th or 6th in the Central, not make playoffs. They're going to get the 10th overall pick. They're going to do fuck all this season. And I'll be honest, I'm a changed man. I have bought into Rick Bonus's his bullshit. I don't know. He just seems, it just seems like everything is different. I what I attended was during FanFest, unfortunately. So I think that I don't have a great idea of like the actual reality of how the players are feeling and the energy, because like obviously there's a ton of other fans there and they kind of do have to put it on for them. But you going today and actually experiencing it in just a regular practice day, yeah, no, it looks fun. And honestly, I think there's like just there's so many little things that Rick Bonus has done that have really just kind of dug into things are actually going to change, which I think for Jets fans, like we've just been sitting here like clawing our eyes out being like, why is the same thing happening every single year? Nothing is changing. um so I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'll This is a little tease into my Central preview, but I actually feel better about the Jets this year than last year, even though they're a worse team. But I don't know.
Mm.
What's
I think that's fair. Like, I think that, you know, and sitting here, if you had told me 6 months ago I'd be sitting here getting excited about Rick Bonus, I would have been like, excuse you, right? Because
Mhm.
I don't know if it's the guy himself, right? I think it's just the fact that the change is so evident that it's just, we're excited about that in general. Like, I remember, last year going to camp, all of us, first day of camp, I predicted the lines for not opening night because Shifley was suspended, but the next game. And I was literally right. Like, it was so frustrating and, all this kind of stuff. But right now, the pairs that they have running, like Billy is running with Brendan Dillon on
on the
his
right side.
offside. And they stayed after practice today and they did a ton of work, just the two of them. And it's just like all these little things. Like, I just feel like
Hmm.
there's hope for the results to be based on what is seen at camp and what the potential is, as opposed to what we already know, if that
Merit,
makes sense, right?
merit based, and that's
100%.
I think that, and that's just what we've all been screaming for so long. It's just, it feels like it's always been these guys at the top, and they just kind of regardless of what happens, Wheeler's the captain. He's gonna play in the top six. Shifley's gonna play with Connor and Wheeler. How long was that line together for? But yeah, and just moving aside from the vibe side of things, like I love what Rick Bonus is trying to instill, at least in the team, as far as like even systems wise. One thing I noticed, like he kind of obviously hampered down, being like, we want to be more aggressive and this and that. But he really like emphasized the fact that the Jets were like 31st in zone entries allowed last year, and it's like he's like, okay, well, we're gonna play active D, and like going back to when Paul Maurice was like not a clown, uh, you know, back to prior to him, doing the same thing over and over again when he was actually a beacon of light for the Jets. One of the things that he did, and the Jets, when Bufflin and our defense was actually good, was they played active D. Like immediately as soon as other teams would get break out on the Jets, the D would be pressuring them immediately, and forwards would be covering in behind them. And that's something I've wanted to see the Jets do for a long time now. And even watching the line rushes and the scrimmages and stuff like that, it seemed like the defense seemed so much more active and aggressive. And it just, again, it just goes to show things are going to change. And what having an active and aggressive defense says to me is that the Jets are going to capitalize on their strengths, which is shooting talent. They have a Vezina caliber goalie. So they're going to play, it seems like they're just going to play a high event game, which should benefit the Jets. Like if you've got Kyle Connor, Nick Ehlers, Scheifele, Cole Perfetti, Dubois, Wheeler, all these guys who can create so much offense, like that's you should be playing to your strengths and just trying to play, as much offense as possible. Sure, you're going to get, lots of shots on against, but that's why you have a guy like Connor Hellebuck back there. Like you can't ask for much more, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I think that, going back to what you're saying with Bufflin and stuff like that, we often, as Jets fans, we go back to that chunk of time where we lost the Enstroms, the Buffs, the Myers, the Trubas all back to back like that. And it was, they had to kind of go back and change some things when you have Tucker Pullman playing in your top four. You need to, not make him an active defenseman and whatnot. But the guys that we have now, you want them to be able to play in that way. And like, we talk about Logan Stanley a lot as the two of us as individuals. And I'm actually going to say something nice about
Can't teach
him
size,
here,
baby.
but
Sorry.
yeah, no, literally probably at the end of the day, the reason why we named our podcast this. So like, God bless Logan Stanley. But, like the thing with him is that he's big, so people assume that he's a big defensive defenseman, which is absolutely not the case. I'm hard on Logan Stanley, but the things that he's actually good at are not the things that people say he's good at, which is why I get frustrated about him. They're like, oh, he's heavy hitting, he defends net front well. False. Both of those things, not correct. Logan Stanley actually can produce some offense, and he's got like a decent, like, his activation up there is one of his better. No, one of the things that he's better at. Is he good at it? No, not really. But it's like people, put him into a box because of his size, but he's actually one of the players that will benefit from having a more active
Mm-hmm.
defense, I think, in my opinion, if you can get him some ozone starts and not, rely on him to get the puck out, because he's not going to do that.
No.
But he's not the only one. Billy Handel, obviously, we'll talk about him probably quite a bit throughout the season as well. Same thing, will benefit from being able to integrate more into the offensive system instead of having just the two defensemen as the point holders shoving the puck back down the boards, right? And only the three forwards creating those chances and things like that. Like, I think it's going to benefit everyone. And obviously, Pionk, Morrissey, DeMello, all capable of doing those kinds of things as well. Nate Schmidt, very clearly. Brendan Dillon, not sure if that's so much his thing, but I'm sure he'll manage just fine.
He can play anchor for someone who's going to play up in the play, like, and all. Like,
That's exactly it.
And that's all you can ask for from a bigger guy who plays defensively, is just allow, give more room to breathe for whoever your partner is. Yeah. Okay. I think that's plenty of Jets talk, I would say. I think it's time to move on to our Western Conference preview. Which of course we'll start in the Central just because we were kind of talking about the Jets. So I think we're just going to kind of go through where we have everyone in the standings and kind of talk a little bit just about, who they have, who's leaving, blah, 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 whatever. Liz, give us a scolding hot take. Who do you have first in the Central? Who's it going to be?
The Arizona Coyotes.
Whoa, that's crazy.
No, believe it or not, my scalding hot take is that the Colorado Avalanche are going to win the Central.
What? No way.
Crazy.
Even though they lost Kadri, but still have Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, and every other fucking good player on that team. Yeah. I think with them, I also very obviously have them top of the division. I think that guys like, Newhook and whoever should be able to step up and kind of make do. Evan Rodriguez is a great signing they had too.
Amazing, yeah.
Everything should be great. The only question mark I would have for them is, how does Alexander Georgiev do as a starter? But I don't know.
That team is so good that, this year Well, 2 years ago, right, they got a mid-tier goalie, if not below that, to become a Vezina nominee. And this year they were able to win a Stanley Cup with a good goalie, right?
Yeah.
We've looked at the last couple of years of Stanley Cup champions, and they have Vezina caliber goalies. Obviously, Andrei Vasilevsky is the best, you know, example of that. But Jordan Binnington was on one hell of a year when he won. And you can go back and back, and you have fantastic goalies that help carry their teams to that success. Colorado, I would say, I haven't, done any research into this, so if someone wants to correct me, that would be fine. But I would say that Darcy Kemper is probably the worst goalie to win the Stanley Cup in the last 10 years.
Ooh. Okay, wait.
Do you
Actually,
agree?
I want to think about
Think
that.
about it for a
Keep,
second.
keep going. Let me think about this. Let me.
Well,
Uh,
no, that's pretty much it. I think that they're just a pretty full team top to bottom, and with that back end, like I would say that Georgiev is, significantly worse. That sounds rude, but
I
he's not
don't.
as good of a goalie as Darcy Kemper, I don't think.
Oh, absolutely. At least not
So
proven. He's always been a guy who
no,
could potentially step up. But they're like even like I think they're gonna do a bit of a tandem thing, like having Francouz and
yeah,
Georgiev both be the guy. And
yeah.
honestly, for a team like the Avalanche, that should be no issue. Very obviously, they still have like the one of the best decors in the league. And also they don't have Jack Johnson on it anymore, which is hilarious. So even in another addition by subtraction, but yeah, I mean obviously Avalanche top of the division. Liz, who do you have at number two?
Ooh, I gotta pull up my notes on
You gonna
this.
pull up your
Okay, and
nose?
again, this was my I'm again, I hate standings predictions just because they're so arbitrary and they're based on so many, moving pieces. I have Minnesota at number two.
I
I have
also
a
have
lot of faith.
Minnesota at two. Let's go.
Okay, okay. I have a lot of faith in the Minnesota Wild. I'm not going to get too much into them because they are the part of one of my bold takes, which we'll get into later.
Ooh.
So I won't. But I have a lot of faith in them as a whole. I think that they've done some pretty good things over the last couple of years to get their team to where they need to be. They were the definition of that, middle of the pack team that just couldn't figure it out. They wouldn't rebuild, they wouldn't be good. They just were there. They just
Mhm.
existed for so long, and they were able to get to the point where they're a very strong team without having to go through that painful Ottawa style rebuild, the Buffalo rebuild, right? And I give them full credit for that. I think they have a lot of good players coming up the pipe, and I think that this year they will be good. They were good last year, and they haven't had a lot of significant changes to their team. I think they're going to be good again this year.
Yeah, I can't. The biggest thing for me is a full season of Fleury. Cam Talbot's no slump, but he's not a potential Vezina caliber guy. So I think having a full season of Fleury, and I think they've got Ottawa's old goalie. I think what's the name, Gustafson, I think, as their backup. He's been always kind of a guy who could eventually take over the reins at some point. So maybe he can kind of come out of the shadows and provide some sitting time for Fleury. But the biggest thing for me is their youth. Like I love. I think Matt Boldy is going to be fantastic. Obviously, Marco Rossi. Hopefully, he's completely healed from his long COVID stuff. But those are two guys who I'm like a full season of them, along with everyone else that they have. I'm high on the Minnesota Wild for sure.
It's fun. I want them to be good. They're likable. If they're good, if the Jets are good, we can get that rivalry going that they've been trying
Yeah,
for so long. But both teams have just been not exciting and not good enough to make it, anything. So I'd love to see it happen. I want to see them succeed. I'd love for it to happen for Minnesota hockey fans. I'd love to see it. So
hell yeah, you love to see it. Okay, at three, who do you have?
this is where I start to get a little bit, I don't know. I have the Nashville Predators sitting at number three.
Whoa.
And my reason for that is I knew my top two and I knew my bottom two, but I wasn't sure about the middle. And if anything that I've learned as a Jets fan is that a hot goalie can make even the worst teams look like playoff teams. And I think that the Nashville Predators have an extremely good goalie. And I think that at the end of the day, that's what's going to carry them to be a playoff team. Three is bold. And if they end up in five or six, like I'm not going to, bat an eye, but I
Mhm.
guarantee if they end up in five or six, it's because UC Saros doesn't have a good year.
Yeah, I think the next four teams could honestly be anywhere. I
Hmm.
personally have the Blues at three. Obviously they lost Billy Huso, who was really important for them last year. But as I look at their team, like their top nine is just solid. Like you've got a lot of young players who are going to be continuing to get better. Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, Pavel Buchnevich, Tarasenko. Like I could go on listing all the guys, and then even a guy like Jake Neighbors is going to step in there and hopefully be a guy for them this year. And then for me, honestly, I hate the guy. I hate Jordan Binnington, but I think he has a bit of a regression season. I think he kind of comes back from being like a 900 goalie or whatever he was, 902. I don't know. I don't know what he was. But I think that this year he maybe settles down a little bit. Every year is another chance to mature. I think that's a big thing for him is he just needs to, figure it out and not lose his mind so much. But I will always be more than happy to watch him lose his mind because it's so funny every single time. But I do have
Yeah.
them as my third pick. But I could totally see them missing playoffs even. Like it all depends on a goalie, I would say. Um,
Always.
yeah, and that's it.
And that's why I had them actually sitting at my number four for the exact same reasons that you did, but just with a little bit less faith in their goaltender, right? Like you said about Thomas, Kyrou, all these guys, right? Like there's room there for some people to have some big years, and I think that they have, the pieces that are needed to be like a solid team, and it's if the pieces that have the potential meet that potential that I think that they could be pretty good. I have more faith in Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas becoming something this year than I do in Jordan Whittington having a better season. Like I'm sure
Mhm.
he'll be better. I think this year, especially with Ville Husso, probably got to his head a little bit and whatnot, and
Yeah.
what doesn't get to this guy's head. But I do anticipate them having a better season. I have him sitting at number four. Who's
Yeah.
your four?
Four is this is my hot take. This isn't my bold prediction, but this is I have the Winnipeg Jets at four. I think the Jets are gonna do it. I think they're gonna make the playoffs. And hear me out. Hear me out. It all comes down to Rick Bonus. I know. I can see you. I can see you cringing at me talking about this. But the thing is, we've been saying for so long that the Jets are good despite bad coaching. All they need is a good coach, and they can be good. And if all the things we've said about Paul Maurice for so long are true, if Rick Bonus comes in and actually like holds people accountable and like employs actual systems and like plays the style of game that fits the roster, which it seems like they're gonna do, I I I know that they're a worse team than they are last year, and this is absolutely biased. I completely understand. If the Jets end up blowing a tire and end up like last in the division, I also wouldn't be surprised. It takes one Connor Hellebuck injury for that to happen, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. Something about the Jets this year. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I definitely am drinking the Kool-Aid, but I have them at four.
I think it's so funny that it's a perfect indication of who you and who you are as a person, also who I am, that you're sitting here and you're like, okay, hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. I know I'm being optimistic, yet you have them sitting at number four. It's like, God, that's stupid.
I mean, what can you do? It's like if everything goes right, they make playoffs. There's no way they're topping the Avalanche. I mean, they could.
No.
They at very most, if the Wild again, it all comes down to injuries and stuff like that too. And if people come out flat, I cannot see. My most optimistic is the Jets making third. I just can't see them being second, even though it's realistic potentially. But yeah, I don't know. And absolutely, that is my own homer bias. Obviously, as a Jets fan.
Yeah. No, for sure. And it's hard too because it's the kind of thing where it's like you have to make these predictions with the assumption that everyone will be healthy, right? Because
Yeah.
otherwise you could sit here all day and it's like if X team has X player injured and Y team, like, they would move all over the place. However, I do think some teams are more well equipped to manage injuries than others. For example, like Colorado. If McKinnon did not play this year, Colorado would still be a surefire playoff team. Dead ass.
Yeah.
Like, no questions asked on that.
Absolutely.
Like, top five player in the league team could manage because they're a good team, and that's the kind of thing where I think that's my Nashville, for example. My them being at three for me is on the impression that UC Saros is going to play 82. Well, no, he's going to play realistically probably 70 games probably, and play them well.
Yeah. If you're in a fantasy league and haven't drafted, take UC Saros. He will steal you games and will win and will play most nights. Because I think his backup is like I don't even know who is it. Let me go look. It is Kevin Lankinen. Good old classic Kevin Lankinen.
Chicago Blackhawks legend.
Chicago Blackhawks legend. Okay, well, since you talked about the Preds, I'll lead into my number five, which is the Preds. The only reason I have them here, I completely agree with everything you said regarding um, what's it called? Regarding Saros
Ours?
and thank you. So as I just literally was talking about him, I think he could win. He could easily win the Vezina this year. But the one thing I look at the Preds and I look at them last year, Matt Duchene scored 40 goals. Roman Yossi had 93 points. I can't help but look at those and go, do you think that's going to happen again? Roman Yossi is fantastic. I can see him being a point a game guy. But Matt Duchene, Matt Duchene's not a 40 goal guy. In a regular year, I don't see him scoring 40. I mean, there's tons of 40 goal scorers last year. Maybe that's just the new normal, but I just don't see him having that type of year again. However, I will say I do like their addition of Nino Niederreiter, exactly the type of player they needed, kind of a guy who I wanted the Jets to go after. And then also, of course, Ryan McDonough is, still a really good defenseman. The only reason he got kicked out of Tampa was because of the money he was making. So yeah, again, as I said before, the Blues, Jets, Preds, and whoever the next team is are all kind of could end up anywhere. It really just depends on how injuries season rolls out. Who do you have at 5?
I have Dallas at number 5, and again, this is my mushy middle. I don't really know or care about these, teams, even though they are in my division. Dallas, granted they can sign Jason Robertson. I think they have some decent pieces too. I think they have, again, enough good players that they won't ever finish bottom of their division while those players are still able to produce and to contribute. But 5, maybe 6. Spoilers, I have Winnipeg at number 6 and flip-flop on those two. I don't really know, don't really care. I could see it going either way. And again, could finish 3rd, could finish not 7th. 7 and 8 are a lock for me, but
yeah. For me, when it comes to the Stars, I have them at 6. I already said I had the Preds at 5. I have them at 6. The only reason is I feel like with the whole the owner of the Stars coming out and being like, oh, I don't want to pay the young guys. If I'm Jason Robertson, I'm going, fuck you, pay me. I'm literally your best player. And I can see that dragging out a little bit into the season. I can see that dragging out a couple months even maybe, just to kind of prove a point, because if you're going to be stingy, Jason Robertson, I'm sure, is happy to sit back and go, all right, go lose hockey games then. In a league where you really want to make playoffs, where you really want to get that playoff revenue, go ahead, go try. And then, I look at the other guys, they signed Mason Marchment, who, had an insane season in Florida. I don't know if that's real. He should be playing like 3rd line, I would guess. If he can still do it again, then, that's great for Dallas. But again, Joe Pavelski's a year older, Tyler Seguin's a year older, Jamie Benn's a year older. And then their goalie situation, I mean, Jake Ottinger is fantastic. He's really good. Actually, looking at their goalies, their goalies are very good. And so if Ottinger can play like how he did in that Calgary season, again, these guys could make playoffs easily. Scott Wedgwood's a good backup. So yeah, again, mushy middle where you're just kind of like, it can kind of go wherever. But yeah, I personally don't have the Stars making the playoffs. I just think that Ottinger had a very small sample size there, and I wouldn't surprise me if he wasn't like a 930 goalie, if he was like a 920 goalie or a 915. Still very good, but I don't think he'll be exactly as good as he was in those 7 games against the Flames.
And I'm a little, all over. That was your number
6.
5?
That was 6.
Because
I jumped to say the Preds at 5.
Perfect. Yeah.
I
have Winnipeg at 6.
Yeah. And who do you have? Let's skip 7. Who do you have in last?
Who do you have in last?
Not the Coyotes.
The Coyotes. I have Chicago in last.
Yeah, let's go. Fuck those guys. Yeah. Again, Max Domi is your starting center, and it seems very obvious that they're going to be tanking this year. If they actually can convince Kane and Taves to move, to waive their no trade clause, which seemed like the only reason they traded DeBrincat was to be like, hey, listen, boys, this isn't going to be fun. So if they can get those guys out of there, that will even further make it so that they're even worse. And then yeah, I'll let you speak on the Blackhawks. Why do you have them in 8?
Oh God, they suck so much. Their team is just full of nothing, man. Seth Jones is their best player. Well,
Yeesh.
I got to think about it for a second, but that might be true.
I
Um,
mean, Patrick Kane is still pretty
Patrick
good.
Kane is still Patrick Kane, so like yeah. But there are not a lot of pieces. Like you said, Max Domi is your starting center. Don't ask me who their goalies are. Don't
Ooh.
like
Actually,
Kevin Lankinen, bro.
yeah,
Like that's
yeah, try and just name one of them. Just try and name one of them. I'm bringing it up because I can't exactly remember.
is Malcolm Subban still one of them?
Oh, it's even worse. Oh my god, I forgot. Okay. It's Peter Mrazek is their
Oh,
starter until he inevitably gets injured, and then they have Alex Stalock, who is
oh yeah.
not
Okay.
is not a good backup, I would say.
Oh
Um,
no.
ooh, that's rough, man. They are. Oh,
Right.
and they added they added Jack Johnson to their defense too.
Oh my God. You know what? Jack Johnson has more cups than you, Brady. So shut up.
Oh yeah, you know what
But
he does, and God bless him for that. Shout out Jack
you know
Johnson.
what? Shout out Jack Johnson. I'm sure he's a lovely guy. Um, but no, like to me for Chicago, it's like, okay, what's wrong with them that I'm putting them in eighth? My counter is what is right with them because I don't think they have any good parts.
The
Their defense sucks. Their
the
forwards suck. Their goalies suck.
the
Their
only thing
coach,
I'll give
I
them
don't
is
even know.
they're doing a rebuild properly. They're doing it right.
Yeah.
They're getting their guys out and getting what they can back. I think they should have got more for DeBrincat, but
Oh
it is
God,
what it
yeah.
is. If they trade Patrick Kane at the deadline, they should be getting a king's ransom for him because he's still a really widely regarded good player. He is a good player still, but he's poo defensively. But that's
Not EA
that's
Sports number 2 or whatever.
I can't remember what he is, but he's yeah. I mean, he's still incredibly valuable, especially if you retain some money on him. Ooh, you should be getting multiple firsts for him for sure.
Yeah, but
Um,
I think they did. You're right. I think they did a lot of stuff right. Like the Kirby Doc trade, smart.
yeah,
Kirby Doc is not going to be good,
yeah,
and
that was a
it's
bad
just that
pick.
it's not good. But that Seth Jones contract is,
Yeesh.
it's a weird one in the middle of all that kind of stuff. But you know what? You want to have at least one or two guys that sticks around
Mhm.
for the length of that rebuild rate to kind of bring that in. But whatever. That's why I have them at 8. They're bad. They won't be good. We know it.
Yeah, and to touch on to touch on the Coyotes, I just brought up their. I'm just looking at their roster, and it says top headlines on the right. Coyotes forward Andrew Ladd expected to miss 2022-23 season with a knee injury. Shout out Andrew Ladd. I forgot that guy still was playing. But the one thing I'm like slowly becoming a little bit optimistic for the Coyotes. The ASU thing, obviously everyone's shit on them plenty for that. I think it'll be fun. Just have some fun with it. I think that
Absolutely.
they can definitely maybe harness some sort of culture around it and have a fun atmosphere, which is all you can really ask for if you're the Coyotes owners. Just hope that people have fun. And then other than that, they've got a lot of young guys. I mean, Clayton Keller was hurt for most of the year last year. Barrett Hayton should be now like their top center. I feel like. So hopefully, if he can pan out to be the guy they hoped he would be, then fantastic. But I mean, I don't really know what else to say about the Coyotes. They're the Coyotes. It's just good to be able to not put them last.
No, and I think that they're like I'm trying to remember. I was looking at Cap Friendly the other day. They're not even at cap floor right now, are they? Like I think like they have a ton of money left to work with. Like they could do whatever they want. Like whatever they want to do. I don't think they always manage that, cap flexibility as well as they should because they'll, bring in people and they'll get some picks in return, but then they have this shitty contract that they have to, keep for a couple years and whatnot, whatever. But I think that they're moving upwards. There was a period of time where I think they were just getting bad and worse, and then a little bit better and then worse again, and they were just flipping back and forth between 30th and 31st in the league, right? Like they were just not good. But I think I am seeing some progress there. I think they have some good kids coming up there, and I this year isn't going to be the year, but I say in a couple of years from now, I think they could be competitive. Granted that their management is able to pull it together a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And even just like there's very little things that I look at and go, you know what, it's very good for them. Like just things like, a sign that things will actually go well. Like something like the Shane Goss trade. Like that's them using the cap space that they have in order to get a player in who's pretty decent, and use him. So I have a little bit of faith that hopefully at some point they'll finally be done their 20-year rebuild or whatever it's been, 10-year rebuild. I don't know how long it's been. I guess it's like 10 years ago they were in the playoffs. Um, but
Even
yeah,
like a couple years ago, they were in like again mushy middle. They almost made the playoffs. They ended up being out by like probably like 6 or 7 points or whatever, but
they
they were close.
I think I'm pretty sure they made the playoffs like one of the years that like the Blackhawks won in the start. Like I'm pretty sure they
I
actually
don't
went
know.
like to the Western Conference final. I don't know. Who knows? Anyways, who cares about the Coyotes? We don't need to talk about them anymore. So yeah, so I guess that was the Central. We can move on now to the Pacific. Uh, Alyssa, who do you have at the top of the Pacific?
Now this is significantly more controversial than my last one.
Who is it?
Ready? I have the Calgary Flames finishing first in the division.
I also have the Calgary Flames finishing first in the division.
Oh,
Hell yeah. Let's
interesting.
go. So here's the thing. For me, it's they have the goalie. Markstrom's been fantastic in the regular season. Maybe not in the playoffs, but he's been great in the regular season. Obviously the biggest thing is Goudreau leaving along with Kachuk, but I think Huberdeau is still a fantastic forward. And the big thing for me is Uyghur. Like Mackenzie Weegar is such a good defenseman, and the Calgary Flames already had such a good decor. Like, oh my god, having both Chris Tanev and Mackenzie Weegar either like on your two different pairs, like how are you going to get shots on Markstrom? Like what? And even if you do, Markstrom's a good goalie. Like I I don't know. I just see them doing something correctly. I'm sure knowing us, we'll probably be wrong, but I'm excited to see the Flames. As soon as they made that trade and as soon as they made the Kadri signing, I'll just admit I put a little money on them, so maybe I have a vested interest in them doing well. But yeah, they're gonna be a fun team to watch. I'm very excited to see them. Uh, yeah,
My interesting take. This isn't a bold enough of a take for me, but to me, Calgary either finishes 1 or 2 in the division or like 5 or 6. I don't think that they end up in I think either they figure it out and
or they
they
don't.
get rolling or they don't because they have essentially a brand new team, right? You mold your team around coach and your stars. And their coach has not been with the team for a very long time and their stars are gone and they have brand new ones and you got to, figure it out. And if they don't, I don't think they have enough there to sort of float to third or whatever. I think it won't be
It's a
good.
crap. It's boom or bust as as we
Yes.
say. You know.
As we say.
Yeah, yeah. I'm no, but like everything, like even Kadri signing there. Obviously, contracts aside, I think a lot of this is also another thing that gets in the way of a lot of discourse on like what teams are going to be good and what teams aren't. Like yeah, maybe the Kadri deal isn't the best thing for them long term, but right now, it's right now that they have to win. They've got Toffoli, they've got Lindholm, Huberdeau, Coleman, Mangiapane, all these guys who are like part of their core and need like those. That's this is their window right now. While they have Markstrom and they have I didn't even mention their defense again: Mackenzie Weegar, Chris Tanev, Noah Hannafin. I'm just reading off names. Oliver
You're just
Shillington.
naming
I'm
players.
just naming
Yeah.
players, but like every single one of those players are like really good. So like,
No,
they
yeah.
that yeah, absolutely.
You can talk about cap efficiency all you want with, Nazem Kadri or whatever, but it's like, who gives a shit? You have the player that you have now,
it's
and
about
I'm
the team
looking
that
at
goes on
that.
the ice. It's about the team that goes on the ice and hashtag just win baby. I think the Flames are gonna win. Not win the cup, but just win in general. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, okay. Anyways, Liz, who you got it to? Who is it?
Now, I'm putting my hands up. There is no gun to my head right now. I promise. But I have Edmonton at number 2.
Yeah, yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do too. I hate it, but yeah, like for me, the biggest thing with Edmonton at 2, is goaltending. Obviously, Mike Smith has been good enough for them, for the past few years, but obviously he'll be out for with an injury. And they're bringing in Jack Campbell. I think Jack Campbell can be a good goalie, but he also has had has struggled. Obviously, if you paid any attention to the Leafs for the first half of the season, he was a Vezina caliber. Second half of the season, he was like an 888 goalie. So, which Jack Campbell are they going to get? I don't know, but I would say Jack Campbell and Stuart Skinner are. I actually like Stuart Skinner a lot. I think that's honestly not a bad tandem. hopefully you would hope that Campbell can take over the reins and be a real starter there. But I think Skinner may give him a run for his money. And then other than that, for me, it sucks, but Evander Kane is going to pot a lot of goals if he's playing with Connor McDavid. So a full season of him there. Another thing, they very smartly, I don't know, intelligently. That's the word. Very intelligently have not traded Jesse Puljujarvi. So I don't know. I'm honestly pretty high on the Oilers. I hate to say it, but I mean, when you have a team with McDavid and Draisaitl, they're good.
You can see I'm nothing but consistent, right? And I have them at number 2 because they were one of the better teams in the league this year with, and you're going to say it with me, the worst goaltending tandem and probably like one of the worst in the entire NHL, right? So it's like Campbell is not that good. However,
oh my God, sorry.
He's significantly better.
Did you see the fake Jim Matheson interview?
No, but
no.
Like to.
Oh my God. Okay, this is insane. So Mikko Koskinen, I'm trying to bring it up here. Mikko Koskinen ended up going to play in Switzerland, and someone from Switzerland, okay, I found for it here. Someone in Switzerland reached out to a fake Jim Matheson account for a quote on Koskinen's tenure in Edmonton. Oh, no. I'm gonna read to you because here's the thing. So with Jim Matheson, he had his account and it was like NHL by Maddie, and it was verified for a long time. But then what happened was he got hacked and then made a new Twitter account and never got it re-verified. So there's a ton of just like fake Jim Matheson accounts. I think there's one with like 8 or 9K followers, and it's just a fake account. But here's the quote. I'm going to read it to you. It's insane. Jim Matheson. What remains of Mikko's time in Edmonton is an absolute lack of bite. He had everything to be a successful goalie here. I think former assistant goalie coach Bofa Dees summed it up when he told me that Mikko could have been an annual contender for the Vezina for the best NHL goalie if he had the same drive as his 40-year-old competitor Mike Smith would have had. I got to know Mikko as a wonderful person, and I wish him all the best in Switzerland. He will always be remembered for his enthusiasm for the Taco Bell's cheesy gordita crunch. I'm sure it just absolutely, I can't believe you didn't see this. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. It's so goddamn funny.
That's insane. No, that's insane.
How do you, like, both of these? Come on, man. Like
Boba D's who?
Boba D's nuts. Yeah, anyways, sorry, bit of a tangent, but I had to bring that up. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, that's brutal. I love anything that's about Jim Matheson is always fun for me.
He's just a character. He's fan. I don't even know if his real account in quotes is actually him, but I guess we'll never know until he gets re-verified if that ever happens.
I know,
but I doubt it.
It's not. Yeah, no.
But maybe he's a little too pissy for that.
Why are you so pissy?
Why are you so pissy?
Classic. I was watching the Jets preseason game against Edmonton today, and Ryan Rishaug was on TSN doing the Sarah Oleski, like he was talking to Craig Button or whatever, because Edmonton, and oh man, I will never not think of that Connor Hellebuyck tweet when I see Ryan Rishaug. I'm like, oh yes, never forget.
Which one again?
I remember the one where it's like, because you know how Connor Hellebuyck doesn't talk to the media in the mornings.
Yeah,
and he's like, Connor Hellebuyck refused to answer questions this morning. Bit of a weird, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Superstition.
Oh yeah.
Game day, like what a weird, like an interesting, whatever for a goalie who's never won.
Oh yeah, you basically just said just said for a goalie who's not good. Weird for him to have this like weird tradition, and like obviously now he's a Vezina winner and one of the best goalies. Funny, but yeah, I remember that one now.
Can't talk about Edmonton being successful without digging at them in some capacity because I hate the Oilers. But no, good team last year. Goaltending is not great because Jack Campbell is not who everyone thought he was in the first half of last season.
But he's fine.
He's better than Mike Smith.
Yeah, yeah. He should. Well, hopefully, but yeah. Anyways,
the Oilers did. That's the difference, right? Is the Oilers did what they did in spite of their goaltending, not because of their goaltending. So having an upgrade is huge for them. So I have them at number 2.
And that's what I'm saying about the Jets. They did things in spite of in spite of their coaching, but now look at them. Look at them go.
Exactly,
I
and
can't wait
because
for
of
them to
their
crash and
goaltending.
burn just to say fuck you to me, but it is what
Yeah,
it is.
you know what? Who cares? Jets, whatever. Whatever. It's
Okay.
fine. We're
All
fine.
right. All right. Let's move on.
Who
Let's
do you
get
have
back
at three?
to me. I have the LA Kings. I have the
So
LA
do I.
Kings. Oh wow! Look at us. We
Just
obviously
saying.
we didn't talk prior to this. So we're both just learning. Each other's list. Anyways, yeah, biggest thing. Kevin Fiala is actually like a good player, and adding him is like actually really big in my opinion. Um, I would say the biggest things other than that, can Phil Deneau continue, being this offensive guy as well as the defensive guy, 200-foot guy. Um, but also like they've got a lot of young guys. Quinton Byfield's going to have another year in the league. Guys like who else is it? Oh my god, I can't think of. Arthur Kaliev is really good.
Very good.
Trevor Moore is still pretty young. I think. I hope.
Camp had a really good, whatever his name is, Kempe.
Oh, Adrian
Had a good
Kempe,
year.
I follow. Like all these guys had really good years. Victor Arvidsson, I still have a lot of love for. And
Mm-hmm.
then even on the defensive side, like Sean Dursey is a guy who every time I watched him last year, I was like, you don't know who that is.
No.
He was a Leafs prospect, and that's the main reason why I know.
Oh,
He was one of Kyle Dubas's guys. He was a Sioux Greyhound, I'm pretty sure. And then they traded him, I
mm.
think, in the Muzzin deal. I want to say. Um, Anyways, he every time I saw him play last year, I thought he was really good. And also, Drew Doughty proved that he's actually good again and not awful like he was for like a year or two. The biggest question I have is, can their goaltending hold up? I think, Jonathan Quick had revitalized his career kind of last year, but we'll see if he can kind of hold on to that, if he can stay healthy. I think Cal Peterson's a perfectly fine 1B guy. But I feel like he's got to take over the reins at some point from Quick, as Quick is continuing to age. Do you have any other notes you want to add in there for the Kings?
I'm again feeling very mushy middle about this division. So again, if they ended up at number five, I wouldn't be shocked. So
Yeah. Yeah, I would say definitely Flames Oilers are like the 1-2 top guys. And then from the Kings to the next three. So the Kings, and then who I have it for, which is the Golden Knights. Um, who do you have? Also the Golden Knights?
also the Golden Knights
Man, are we gonna have the? I hope we have the exact same order. That'd be really funny.
would be really interesting.
Yeah, I mean Golden Knights, full season of Eichel. They lose Pacioretty, but he was already injured last year for a long time. Um, who else? The goaltending is kind of the biggest question mark. Can Logan Thompson, Aiden Hill, and Laurent Brossoit, our boy, hold off any offense that's going to be coming against them? Who knows? But at the end of the day, I think they're still a really good team, and they've got good defense and everything. So if all other teams have proved that all you need is a decent goalie, and with one of those three, I assume that they'll be able to find someone who can tend the net. But also, those are guys who, like Brossoit, has been in and out of injuries. I'm not too sure on Hill, but since Hill's come into the league, he's been pretty good.
He's had dog shit teams he's played for, right? So it's like
Yeah,
whatever.
well, and even on if I remember correctly, I think he was like actually, I think I had it up here a second ago.
He was in Arizona and San Jose for a stint there, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, come on,
With
what can you even say about that?
So it's in 1920 he had a 918, and in 2021 he had a 913, both with Arizona, which is pretty good for just raw save percentage on Arizona.
Absolutely.
And then he was like a 906 last year, but San Jose also sucks. So I don't know. I think he can be a guy, and if not, Brossoit has been a capable backup. Logan Thompson looked pretty good in the time that he played, but again, I think he's kind of played a little bit above what he should have last year. But maybe this year he kind of shows that he actually is a good goalie. Who knows? Oh, and Phil Kessel. Boy,
Don't
man.
forget.
Man, Phil Kessel, he scored like 8 goals last year. He's going to score like at least 20 this year, I'm guessing. I think
Straight
that
up.
I think playing on Arizona is just bad vibes and a shitty team. So I feel like Vegas is like the perfect place for Kessel, because it's like a fun and interesting atmosphere. They'll play into the quirky side of him, but they're not going to be like a Toronto where they're going to just like dig into him over and over again, make up hot dog stories and this and that. But
And here's my other thing about Vegas is that I don't know. Again, yeah, goaltending question mark. Defense also a bit of a question mark. I also think they have a top three coach in the NHL.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Oh,
that
Bruce Cassidy, man.
yeah.
I still don't get why the Bruins moved on from him, but uh, good lucky for Vegas, you know.
Yeah, literally. Oh, for sure. Who do you have sitting at number five?
I have my childhood team, the Vancouver Canucks. My boys. I love them so much. I hope they do better this year. But I can't put them above the Knights or the Kings. I could see them potentially being better than them, but who knows? Bruce, there it is. Full season of Bruce Boudreau will be very important for them. Um, they brought in Mikheyev, who is I think a really good middle six guy for especially for PK, and I think
Mhm.
his heat maps are like insane. If
They
I
are.
remember
They're
correctly.
crazy.
Um,
The
the
RPM charts are like the bluest
the bluest
of
of the
blue.
blue in the bottom
Yeah.
half and pretty decently red on top, which is good.
Yeah.
Uh, but other than that, like the main thing for them, I would say, is Bruce Boudreau having a full season of him. They signed a couple like a Russian guy, Andrei Kuzmenko, who's supposed to be pretty good. He's potentially gonna be playing in their top six. I don't really know a lot about him, but when you have a Russian guy you sign and you slot him into a top six, and I remember people talking about him as they were signing him. That's always good. Hopefully it pans out and he's not like a Vadim Shipachyov who just fucks off after like 3 games. Um, but I also really like some of their young guys. I really like Nils Hoglander. I like Podkolzin.
Mhm.
And they've got some depth. Like I'm looking at their depth chart right now, and they look like they're going to be running 3 lines. Having Connor Garland, Bo Horvat, and Podkolzin on your third line is pretty sick in my opinion. The big
Those three guys are on their third line.
yeah, right?
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Holy Dinah.
Yeah, exactly. The big question mark comes on defense. Their top line, their top pair right D is Luke Shen, who feels like a guy who shouldn't even be in the league anymore. And
And
then
Luke Shen has been in the league since for longer than I've been born.
man, their right side is hilarious. They have Luke Shen, and then our boys Tyler Myers and Tucker Poolman. I just mattered Poolman, just for the record. Um, I'm sorry. um,
Tucker.
Tucker, I just met her. And then obviously they have Demko in net. So like, you know what? Good team. I could see them actually being good. Again, the Canucks I would say are the biggest wild card for me. I'm high on the Kings. I think the Kings are good. I think the Golden Knights should make playoffs again, but their goaltending is the question mark. And then it's just like I look at the Canucks and I'm like, I can see a situation where they're in the top three. Like I genuinely could, but I also can very much easily see them missing playoffs. Their defense is the toughest part, I would say for sure.
Yeah, I'd say for me, I would agree that they're one of the biggest wild cards, and it's because to me they have some of the biggest wild card players in Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes, I don't think it. Pettersson is like the definition of a wild card. Who
Hmm.
knows with that guy? Hot and cold, right? You never know. Quinn Hughes has been relatively consistent, off and on a bit, but more predictable, I would say, than Pettersson for sure. But if he sucks and if Pettersson sucks, they're seventh in the division. Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
no, they're again, it's similar to the Central. They'll fall as low as six. 7 and 8 are a lock for
I'm
me. I don't know.
I'm looking at them
That's
and
yeah.
it's like having a center core of JT Miller, Elias Pettersson, and Bo Horvat. Like that's kind of
It's
nuts.
hot. That's
That's
really hot.
that's kind of sick. But will it work? That's the real question.
Jets
Either
could have had that with Shifley, Dubois, Stafford, but they chose not to. So
remember when they were like we're gonna do this and then they immediately put Dubois on the wing with Shifley. Anyway, sorry, we shouldn't talk about the Jets right now. Who do you have at 6?
I gotta pull. I keep Anaheim.
I also have Anaheim. Uh-oh. I think
Wow.
we have the same list. Yeah, with them, like the biggest thing for me, I would say, is John Gibson doesn't seem to be the goalie he once was. They have some interesting youth. I think Mason McTavish is going to be a fucking stud. I think Zegras
Hmm.
is going to continue to be insane. But I just don't think that they have everything put together right now.
No.
Um, Jamie Drysdale still needs to take a step. Um,
Yeah.
they've just got such a weird mix of players. Like they've got a lot of
I
interesting young
know.
guys, but then they have guys like Adam Henrique and Ryan Strome, and it's just like you got like Kevin Shattenkirk. It's like, come on, man, you're still playing. Like what? Um, but they added Klingberg, which is I think a good ad. They'll probably
Hmm.
get a good little haul from him at the trade deadline. Kulikov, honestly, since he's left the Jets, he's been pretty good. So good for him to good for them to have as a third pair
Good for him,
guy.
I guess.
Good for him.
Whatever.
Yeah, and then I guess other than that, John, like I said, John Gibson doesn't really seem to be the goalie he used to be, but also Anthony Stolarz was kind of nuts last year though too, even though I don't think that's the real him. So they're kind of a bit of a wild card in net. Do you have anything to add?
Not particularly. Again, I think it's similar to it's like, oh, what's wrong with them per se? I don't know, like, a couple things here that there, whatever. But they don't have,
They don't
the
have it.
guys.
They don't have it
Don't have
yet.
it.
Yeah.
The future looks not too bad for them if they can clear out some of those old guys within the next little bit. They're fine as placeholders for now, but once young guys are able to sustain their own team and whatnot, you gotta ship those guys out and get them a supporting cast that fits the Jamie Drysdales and Trevor Zegras and Mason McTavishes of the world. So
They're
yeah, six, comfortable six for me.
they're gonna have a fun deadline. I feel like they're gonna be a team that's just wheeling and dealing. Um, but yeah, at 7, who is it? Who do you got? Who's it gonna be? Kraken or Sharks? Who is it?
Seattle Kraken.
Yeah, let's go. Same list. Same list all the way down.
Hey, holy.
Hell yeah. Um, I'll let you go. I've been taking the reins. What do you got to say about Seattle?
Seattle, again, also, I think is doing this whole rebuild thing right. They come in, were very clearly not Vegas in their first year, and then they sold the farm and grandma's dog too. Like everything is gone. And then signed a couple of players like, Burakovsky, now that I remember that he signed there. Again, great choice. I think he's a good player. And then obviously with the pick that they have, the Shane Wright, and then is it Matty Beniers there
Yeah,
too?
Matty Beniers
Yeah.
is probably going to be their top line center this year, which is crazy.
Exactly. So, I think that they have, pieces, whatever. I think they're going to be in good shape in a couple of years if they can manage the assets that they've acquired. And managing assets that you've acquired does not mean drafting every single one of those players and then throwing them all at the wall and seeing what sticks. It means, being strategic in the way that you move them around and bring in players. Like it doesn't necessarily have to mean they have to draft their future Stanley Cup winning team. They can bring in pieces by trading some of those guys. But I think for now they're still ass.
I think
But
going
yeah.
going to what you were saying there, I think a good example of like using your assets properly is the Kings, where like they did their rebuild, I think, properly in the sense of like they had tons of picks, picked a lot of prospects, got a lot of prospects in, and then went, okay, we're kind of almost here. We just need to get over the top. Okay, let's sign a guy like Phil Deneau. Let's trade for Kevin Fiala. Like that's I think exactly. It's and with Seattle, like an example of them doing a smart thing is trading for Bjorkstrand, which I'm sure you remembered but didn't
What a
mention.
fleece.
But insane. I was so upset. Also, a Jets pick I think was the fourth that we traded for Appleton is now in Columbus with our boy Patty Laine. Um, but yeah, I would say they're going to be a fun and interesting team. Like they have a brand new top line of Burakovsky, Beniers, and Bjorkstrand. So adding a new, I don't think they're actually a top line. It just happens to be the top line there.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I would say they've got a ways to go a little bit still, but building properly for sure.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Which
Oh,
leaves
and
us
oh
with
my God, they have Martin Jones. I forgot to say they have Martin Jones and Philip Grubauer. Like, oh my God, what an
that's my
awful
nightmare
tandem.
blunt rotation.
Yo, real.
No, that's terrible. But yeah, so
Speaking of
again,
terrible,
what are they doing wrong? Well, goaltending and, bodies to fill their roster, but just not a lot of, right going on there at this
mm,
time. No
yeah,
pun intended.
and
That leaves the San Jose Sharks.
yeah. Speaking of terrible, uh, whoa, this
Speaking of
team.
Martin Jones.
Speaking of Martin Jones, yeah, there we go. Man, the Sharks really fell from grace. It really sucks to think back to when they were like in the playoffs and like constantly just never getting far enough. And now you look at them and it's like they're just a shell of their former being. Like It's insane to me that this core is just continuing to get older. I would imagine this year is going to be a sell-off year for them. Um, is Hurdle still only signed till the end of the year? Did they re-sign him? I can't remember what's going on with him.
I
I,
don't remember.
no, I think they re-signed him. Anyways, who cares? Doesn't matter. It's the Sharks. They stink. Like I like Timo Meier, I like Hurdle, but that's kind of where my list stops. I don't like Logan Couture that much. I think he's kind of overrated. Bit of a dumbass too.
Got punched in the face for talking about Donald Trump.
Yay! Shout out. Just for talking about him. No reason. Just mentioned him. No, I didn't say anything.
Him by name.
I just said his name and I got punched immediately. I definitely didn't say anything about him. Yeah. Anyways, good one. The only good thing I'll say about the Sharks, Oscar Lindblom. Did they pick him up off waivers? I can't remember exactly how they got him. All I remember is that the Flyers waived him and everyone got mad at them, rightfully so. But also, obviously, they don't have Brent Burns. They're continuing to get to age. The only thing I would be interested to see from them is I think William Eklund is a good prospect. I don't know if he plays this year. It seems like he's not on their roster at the moment, so maybe he's still playing in Europe. But he's an interesting guy. Hopefully he can be part of the solution eventually. But the Sharks stink. Best of luck to Mike Greer. I hope he can turn it around. Because Sharks are a fun team. Cool new threads this year. Did you see their new jerseys?
No, I don't think. Oh, they're full teal kits. Eh?
Yeah, I think it's just I think it's their jerseys are moving in the right direction. But look, something just looks off. There's too much teal. I think they needed to add silver back in from their old jerseys. I don't know why they didn't just use the They did some sort of retro night where they wore an Adidas version of like their old like teal jerseys from back in the day, and those are fucking beautiful. And I don't know why they're not using them. Anyways, it goes to show how bad the Sharks are that we're gonna just talk about their jerseys and not their team. But yeah, so that's our Western Conference preview. Who do you have making the playoffs? So obviously, both of our top threes.
Look at that again.
So top three in the Pacific was Flames, Oilers, Kings, so they obviously make it. And then, do you have the Golden Knights making playoffs? Yes or no?
You
do. Okay. So we'll stop there for a second. Go back to the Central. What was your top three again? It was Avalanche, Wild, and Preds?
Yes.
And then who was four?
St. Louis.
St. Louis. So do you have St. Louis making it, or do you have the Canucks making it?
I have St. Louis making it.
St. Louis. So 4-4 for the divisions? Yes? Yep, cool. I have the Avalanche, Wild, Blues, and Jets making the playoffs. I have the Preds just missing. And I also, after watching the preseason game today from the Jets, I actually am not as confident in my opinion on that, but it is what it is.
It was bad.
It was real bad. But also, it was only 3 players of the actual Jets playing, so
right.
It is what it is. We'll see if they can turn it around.
They were also bad, so.
Also, Dave Riddick isn't going to play every game, so that man stinks. No save Dave. Am I right?
So true.
All right. Before we wrap here, we both wrote down 3 hot takes, bold predictions for the season. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Let's flip-flop.
Flip-flop? Okay.
Okay, let's go with, I'll start. This is the one I sort of hinted at earlier. I think Marco Rossi scores well over a point per game pace this year.
Whoa. I like that. If he's put in the right position, I definitely think he could.
Again, I chose to say that and not say, gets 80 points or whatever, because, health is always a concern with him, but if he's well enough to play, and they'll play him well, and if he plays in the right position, like you said, I think he scores a point per game.
That's fair. I like that prediction. My bold prediction: Cale Makar wins the Hart as the MVP for the season. I don't think a defenseman's won it in a while now, but it feels like it's coming. I don't know if that's a bold prediction, but also these are bold predictions based on the West, just for clarity too.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
I guess we'll do bold predictions for our Eastern preview too.
I think the thing with Cale Makar is it's like, what left does he have to do?
Exactly. And you know what? I think a lot of it is momentum, and it just feels like even everyone now is being like, he's the best player on the Avalanche. He's surpassed McKinnon. And so it feels like it almost looks, it kind of feels like the McDavid Draisaitl kind of thing, where people are starting to go, okay, Makar is like insane and like kind of revolutionizing the defense position, where he's kind of more of a rover than an actual defenseman, but also still
Mhm.
plays D. I don't know. I'm very excited to see him play another fantastic season. Um, he's making the game a lot better, and I think that this year he gets a little recognition for that. I feel like he should win a Hart eventually in his career, and I feel like next
Mhm.
year is the year. I don't know if that's bold, but that is my prediction.
All his team's still really good, right? So, it's hard for players to win the heart.
If they're not making
Because again,
playoffs,
it's a dumb award, because the criteria is not clear enough, in my opinion.
yeah,
Is it the best player in the league or is it the most important to their team? Because it's a vastly, vastly different conversation, right? And we don't
yeah,
need to get into that right now. But I think that's a great take, and I like it because it is bold. But it's based, right?
kind of based, yeah, exactly. All right.
Hey, I guess I'm next. This is another one that I kind of hinted at. I think Bruce Cassidy is going to win the Jack Adams.
Ooh, I have a Jack Adams one here too, but it's not Bruce
Ooh,
Cassidy. That's
interesting.
that's
Okay.
that's a good prediction. Yeah, I mean, if the with the Jack Adams, it's very much a who who did better than we expected they would kind of
Hmm.
award.
Whose goalie was really good.
That's true. Well, he doesn't have good goalies, but I feel like that will
That's exactly it. That's why to me it's bold because to me picking, Rick Bonus to win the Vez or the Jack Adams if Connor Hellebuyck plays in Vezina form is not surprising to me in the slightest because that'll mean that the Jets will be good.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
no, I don't
exactly.
think that's going to happen.
So,
I definitely would not see that happen.
well, that's. I'll just say my bold prediction was that Rick Bonus wins the Jack Adams. I was texting Alyssa this the other day, and I was like, listen, hear me out. The Jets have such a like, man. I gotta say, I promise you, I'm not usually this much of a homer. This episode
Not. He's
just
not.
this episode just caught me at a really weird time where I'm feeling very optimistic for some goddamn reason. Um,
Optimistic for the Jets at 4.
Hell yeah, let's go. But no, I don't know. The circumstances are just kind of made up to really like I just feel like Bonus is kind of teed up for that like position of okay, he's come in, he's removed the captaincy from Wheeler. So, the vibes seem to be rescued. He's actually implementing systems. If the Jets are good this year, like people are have like every single thing I've seen before the season, rightfully so, has been like the Jets did nothing in the offseason and they lost like 2 to 3 key top 9 players. So like how are they going to be better than last year when they didn't make the playoffs? Um, Again, Connor Hellebuck is a crazy drug. And I think that it's not out of the question that Rick Bonus wins the Jack Adams just because the Jets actually do better than expected. Maybe it's not as bold of a prediction. If you think it's not that bold of a prediction, I can change it up. I had another one that I didn't include here, but
It's bold. No, that's bold.
that's bold.
I
Okay.
still think the Jets are going to
Okay.
miss the playoffs significantly
Well,
and they're going to be shitty. So that's bold to me.
conversely, my other you could also just say my bold prediction is basically that the Jets make playoffs too. So that's not my third
Hmm.
one, but yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
Wait, is your third one good? Because mine sucks.
Mine sucks. Mine's really like specific, and I kind of hinted to
Yeah.
it before, but it's just like a really random one. I don't know. It's not as awards based or like it's just a very specific situation.
Okay, mine is that an Edmonton Oiler does not finish at the top of the scoring race.
Whoa, that's cool. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Who could who? I
Austin
guess.
Matthews, man, like
Yeah, but like okay, so when you say scoring race, to be clear, are you talking points or
points,
goals? Points. Okay.
points.
Okay, that's what
And
I
I
figured.
think that Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, like I just feel like there's something there, and I feel like their time is coming. It is, as much as I hate to admit,
I
whatever.
know.
And I think that, Leon and Connor have been flip-flopping at the very, very tip top of that list for quite some time. And so that's my bold take. It's not going to be one of them. Is it necessarily going to be Matthews or Marner? No. But I think it's just not going to be them. I don't know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, all right, and my final one is actually also related to the Oilers, which is very
Oh my
funny.
God.
Mine is that Stuart Skinner will finish as the Edmonton Oilers starting goaltender. I think that I don't know,
Interesting.
maybe I've drank the Kool Aid of Oilers Twitter, but it seems I think that Stuart Skinner is actually a really good goalie and will eventually
Mhm.
become a very good goalie. I think that Jack Campbell falters out of the gate. I don't think he's going to be bad necessarily, but I think that by the end of the season, Stuart Skinner is very clearly the starter there. And Jack Campbell is, a backup that can take still, I don't know, let's say 35 games kind of thing. So still,
Yeah.
half, but definitely becomes the 1B. Um, my other one that I considered, I just didn't want to hammer it home because, again, same thing, too many Jets references. I think that Cole Perfetti is going to win the Calder. I genuinely do. I think that
So true.
so true. Let's go. Let's go. Throw him
Let's
off Pride
go.
Rock. Shout out Jets fans who actually understand that reference. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's he just is in a really a good position. If he's playing in the top six, he might even be playing. Could get power play time. Any type of injury on anyone in the top six, and he moves up. I don't know. I see him being put in a very good position. Other than that, I would guess like Kent Johnson or like who else? Matty Beniers. But those aren't fun predictions. Yeah, I'm a homer. I don't give a shit. Sue me. Don't sue me actually,
Yeah.
but
So you for taking the name of your podcast.
yeah, for real.
Yeah, that was kind of our whole spiel for today. We wanted to kind of do a fun little game to get to know us a bit in kind of a fun context. And apparently, I'm dumb. So
You're
that's what
not
we
dumb.
established from the get-go. And then some fun going from the
Predictions.
West Conference there, and well, I was gonna say coast to coast, and then I had to correct myself because that is
Coast
absolutely
coast
not
to
what we
center.
did. Coast to center, center to coast,
Hell yeah.
and chat about some teams a little bit. Obviously, as you said, we're some pretty big Jets homers. Kidding. For those of you who don't know us, we are extremely pessimistic about our team
And very critical.
98% of the time, and very critical. Critical for a reason, I would say. I think anyone who is critical of a team that's been terrible for 10 years, and good for one is, valid in what they're saying, but we'll get into that another time. But yeah, we're really just here to have a good time and hang out with everybody, right? So, Brady, always a pleasure,
Oh
and
yeah.
looking forward to getting this rolling.
Yeah, make sure you follow us on our socials. We have a Twitter account. It's just at Can't Teach Size. My Twitter is at NHL Chunky. Liz, I can't remember your handle. Please remind me. I can't remember what
It's
is
just
it. Just
at
Liz?
Liz Hood, yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't get it wrong. Anyways,
Okay.
thank you all for tuning in. It's been a blast. Next week we're probably gonna post these weekly. Next week we're gonna do an Eastern Conference preview, kind of do a similar formatted show. Maybe not exactly the same, but again, thank you so much for tuning in. Let us know if you have any issues or any comments. Let us know what you thought.
Yeah, we're excited to get this rolling. We're, like I said before, here to have a good time. So we're looking to see what we can make of this, right? So
Hell yeah. All right. Have a good one. Thank you so much.